The runners start at the Kona Surf and follow the coastline to the turnaround near the Kahola Airport. Then it's back to where it all started, to the finish line at the pier, if they're lucky.
From here on in, it really gets grim. For 99% of the people still left at this point, they're possessed with one thing: finishing. They're saying to themselves, if I can be standing at the finish, I've won. And they're right. But for the gifted few, for our 1% that are still competing, that are still racing, they're more than standing. They're wondering, can I catch that guy up there? What about the guys behind me? Are they gonna get me? Are they coming on me? Are they picking up on me? Can I get him? Because let me tell you something. This is it. The last hour of this triathlon, on the pavement at 110 degrees, that's when we're gonna find out who the hell the Ironman really is.
Sun's up. You're waiting for the gun. The Budweiser Lite Ironman Triathlon is about to start. It's a self-seeding race. The good swimmers are nearest the water. And if they weren't, they'd just crawl right over the slower ones, making a mess anyway. Once you're in the water, the problem is knowing where you're going, believe me. If you wander off course, you might end up swimming 3 miles instead of just 2.4. In open sea, you just can't put your head down and go. You gotta be looking ahead. The smarter swimmers, they play a little follow the leader on the way there. The leader is clearly W.F. McCarthy right now. He's 27. He's a steel contractor from Sacramento, California. A steel contractor who obviously spends a little time at the beach. So at the halfway point with 1.2 miles to go, McCarthy's leading almost 600 other swimmers. With W.F. McCarthy still in first place, the leaders head for the pier and the finish of the swimmers' portion of the Ironman Triathlon on the Big Island of Hawaii. Following McCarthy, there's a group of 4: Patrick Bruce, Kim Bouchon, Bill Leach, and Dave Scott. You notice how they're going flat out, keeping on line? They'll finish the race in about an hour, leaving the rest of the pack behind. There will be others who will be in the water 2, maybe even 3 hours. These front runners are heading for the largest bike parking lot in the world today. There's something else they'll need too: fuel, ERG, water, bananas, oranges, food to keep them going on the bike. Now, McCarthy's way out front now. You notice how he lifts his head high up in the water to keep himself on line? He's the navigator for that group of 4. Involuntarily, he's breaking water for them. They're using him. Scott's won this race before, but it looks as if he's playing it kind of cagey here, staying close, biding his time. But it's all McCarthy right now. He's going to win the swim easily. He'll hit the pier as the Ironman leader and get that important head start on the bike. But he does look a little wobbly coming out of the water. His time is 57:39. Not too bad. McCarthy's on his way to the shower and then his bike. And here come the 4. Patrick Bruce, Kim Bouchon, Bill Leach, Dave Scott. McCarthy's up. Oh, look at that. Bouchon's made a lightning close change. He passes him almost before they get started. Bouchon takes the lead in the parking lot. You notice that Kim immediately goes to his food supply? It's absolutely essential that the biker nourish himself at regular intervals and drink all the water he can in the straining race. Any break in that routine will be disastrous. Dave Scott, a strong biker, just blasted by Mark Montgomery and a tired-looking Bill Leach to take second place behind Kim. And Dave's wasting no time making his move. He'd like to stay close to Kim in this race and then bury him in the marathon, which is not one of Kim's better events. There's Pat Hines, a champion backstroker, the first woman out of the water. Remarkably, she finished the swim minutes ahead of Scott Tinley, and Tinley finished 3rd overall in last year's Ironman. Even this early in the day, the heat is beginning to become an enemy. The bikers need that water inside and out to keep their body temperatures down. When you leave the lava, there's no relief either, because now the course winds uphill and it gets windy, and the bikers suffer some more. And I can see from the headlights of the escort car now that Dave Scott's keeping pace. He's about a mile back. Dupre's out of the water, and here's Kim, widening his lead, heading on to Javi. Jimmy Stokes is out. He swam it in 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 50 seconds. Amazing, isn't it? He only counted on doing it between 2.5, 3 hours. Just to give you an idea, there are still more than 60 swimmers out there. So I'd say that's not too bad for a man of 63.
Kim Bouchon's still in the lead. He's been out there now 3 hours and 8 minutes. That away, Kimmer.
Kim's laboring now. His head is bobbing. He's offering too much wind resistance. The headwinds are hitting at about 15 miles an hour, and it's getting hotter. Dave Scott's feeling it now, too. Kim and Dave have both gone more than halfway, and their backs, their legs, their shoulders, everything aches. Pain is making its mark on these unlined young faces. Everything seems to be working against them. The elements, the terrain, their own fallible bodies. Now here's Scott Tinley passing Leach. He's starting to come on now. He's a superb athlete. He's strong in all 3 events. Tinley seems as concerned with his brother's progress as he is with his own. Jeff's out there somewhere, but it's Scott now who's bearing down on a tiring Bouchon. There's Sean Wilson, taking this hill in 2nd place among the women. And Tinley has caught Scott, commiserating with him as he passes. Now that's Scott Tinley passing Dave Scott. You got that? These two should be separated. Now here's Julie Moss, a 23-year-old college student. She's gone by Sean Wilson and takes over 2nd place in the women's competition. Tinley and Scott, Scott Tinley and Dave Scott are riding together now on Alihi Drive, exchanging sponges. And for all we know, maybe they're swapping stories. They're both powerful runners, so a thriller marathon could be shaping up. But Kim Bouchon still has the lead, wheeling into the Kona Surf parking lot. The finish line for the bikers is starting point for the runners. And here come Tinley and Scott, Scott and Dave. Kim did the 112 miles on the bike in 5 hours, 8 minutes, and 11 seconds. That's within just 5 minutes of the Ironman record for this event. He's done the combined swimming and biking in 6 hours, 14 minutes, 51 seconds. That is a record pace. But he's got 2 top marathoners not 10 minutes behind him. And Kim is tired after a rough ride. But all he has to do is get out there and run 26 more miles. And he'll need all the sponging he can get, because Tinley looks fresh and fit and determined. And Scott Tinley has one thing on his mind: run Bouchon down and win the whole thing. Pat Hines is struggling on the bike, and the strain is showing on Kim Bouchon, too. But Tinley has caught him 5 miles into the run. Graciously, he passes along words of encouragement to Tim as he swiftly leaves him behind. Dave Scott, meanwhile, may not be as fresh as the flowers, but he's not about to wilt either. And there's little Jimmy Stokes, still leaving the youngsters behind. Tinley's out front now, and he's winging. He can afford the luxury of a little stretching, a little prancing. He's keeping himself loose and ready for the final surge. And now Dave Scott, wordlessly, passes the weary Bouchon. Kim is game, but his chances are gone.
It's exactly 8 hours and 7 minutes since he began. Here's Scott Tinley. When he turns here, he's on the way home with about 9.5 miles to go. Fantastic effort. Turn around.
Just look at Tinley now. He's cruising along the lava beds, no more worn down, say, than I am. Not so for Dave Scott. He needs water. And now he's at the turnaround, firmly in 2nd place. Earlier, Pat Hines finished the bike race, exhausted and hurting, and the women's marathon was on. Now here he is, Scott Tinley, running powerfully, the very image of the Ironman. Pat has changed for the run.
Hines, Pat
Tinley
Hines.
is congratulated as the potential winner by runners so far behind that they're coming in the opposite direction. There seemed no question about who the Ironman is now. Pat needs some cooling off. And Julie Moss, looking cheerful, takes aim at 1st place. Tinley goes through this aid station as if it were a car wash. He's moving now. Kathleen McCartney starts the run, looking strong and confident. Julie passes Pat Hines to take 1st place in the women's race. It's hard to say who looks more tired, the victor of the vanquished. But Pat would eventually drop out of this race. It's all over in the men's race. Scott Tinley will cross the finish line in record time, looking as if he'd done nothing more strenuous than walk the dog around the block. Truly, he is the Ironman. The ceremonial lei is tossed over his blonde head, and he's embraced by both race director Valerie Silk and his own wife, Virginia. Little jog works out the kinks, and Tinley's winning time of 9 hours, 19 minutes breaks Dave Scott's old record by nearly 5 minutes. And here comes Scott, a tired Dave Scott. Still, he finishes in 9:36:57. And if Scott Tinley was wondering earlier how his brother was doing, well, here he is. Here's Jeff right now. He comes in third, completing an extraordinary one-tree finish for the Tinley family. Kim Bouchon, game and gutsy, finishes 8th. Here comes Kay Moore into the changeover before Harry Dupree. But Harry is on her heels. Julie Moss leads the women, but at great cost. Too soon, she is approaching the edge of her stamina. And Kathleen McCartney is closing on her at the rate of a minute a mile. Julie is continuing now on hard alone. And Kathleen is gaining as the long day darkens. Is there time enough? That's the only real concern in Kathleen McCartney's mind right now. Is there time enough? Can I catch her? Can I run her down? Kathleen knows that if she can hold her pace, there may just be enough time. Time for her to catch a leader whose every step brings her nearer collapse. But Julie carries on, ever aware as day turns to night that she is racing against two adversaries, a strong young woman and her own waning stamina. Now they must continue in darkness. Julie is only 10 yards from victory, but her legs won't carry her any longer. She falls to her knees and slumps to the pavement as Kathleen, who can't see her in the confusion, breaks the ribbon. But what has happened? Who won? Kathleen asks. You did, she's told. But where's Julie? Julie? Well, Julie Moss will finish this race. She's come too far to stop now. Kathleen, exulting in her surprising triumph, still can't see Julie. Joy radiates from her. But the loser has won a victory, too. And she, too, smiles a winner's smile. Scott Tinley, the Ironman. 9 hours, 19 minutes, 41 seconds. Dave Scott, second. 9 hours, 36 minutes, 57 seconds. Jeff Tinley, the brother, third. 9 hours, 53 minutes, 16 seconds. Kimmy Bouchon, the biker, eighth. 10 hours, 15 minutes, 44 seconds. Tommy Warren, 10th, the original Ironman, 10 hours, 18 minutes, and 6 seconds. Kathleen McCartney, first in the women's event, 11 hours, 9 minutes, and 40 seconds. Julie Moss, second, 11 hours, 10 minutes, and 9 seconds. Kay Moore, 15th in the women's class, 13 hours flat, 35 seconds. Harry Dupree, Jr., top 400 overall. 14 hours, 45 minutes, 17 seconds. Little Jimmy Stokes, first over 60, 369th overall. 14 hours, 38 minutes, 31 seconds.
If I finish the Ironman and I'm an Ironman, I can die happily. That's it.